sure this thing is live. Welcome to the Minority Minds podcast. We have a different format tonight. I just want to say hello. Thank you, everybody, for joining. It is your boy Felix Mack in the building. Let's go ahead and introduce the crew real quick, and then we can introduce our panelists.
Panelist.
I guess
All right.
I'll go first. I got a new moniker, Town Legend.
Town legend.
Town Legend. Basima in
Okay.
the house.
That's new.
Wait, my town legend?
I'm the Town Legend.
Oh, okay.
That's how you feel. All right.
I mean, we from the burbs, you know.
Is it not a town?
All right, chill.
Go ahead, B.
All right, so we got
What up, everybody? My name is B Sade. Add me on Instagram. Shot by Beast. Shameless plug. But yeah, that's just who I am. Why you made that face? All right, but yeah, that's who I am. I'm happy to be on here. What's up to everybody? Lami, what up? What up, YouTube? So, yeah.
Yeah. It's Poppy Chico in the building. You already know what it is. What's up? How y'all doing, ladies?
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
So I guess we can we'll start top of the screen. Ashley, you want to go ahead and give a quick intro? I see Beast got the red wine on deck.
Who said this
Um,
was
So my name is Ashley. I'm grateful to be here tonight. Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah.
Cool.
Welcome.
What up? What up? Thanks for
Go
pulling
ahead.
up.
Lami, go ahead.
Hey guys, I'm Lami. I'm gonna do my little shameless plug too
Go
on
ahead.
Instagram at Lami LAMI.LaRue LAREAUX. Hey guys.
Yeah, and
Good.
definitely welcome, and no problem with the plugs over here. Go ahead, feel free to engage with us in the comments, and we'll be
You just gonna leave out the other
we'll be
guests?
in touch. No, I'm going. I'm
About to say.
continuing. I got this. Trying to moderate. Go ahead, LaShawn.
Hey, I'm LaShawn, aka Cola Aesthetics on Instagram. I'm coming out of Washington, D.C.
Welcome.
What up? Glad to
So, we just want to get a few things in order. Just talk about kind of what we're expecting for this podcast as I move my screens around. So, tonight we just want to have an open dialogue and just understand and talk a little bit more about dating from your perspective. As you know, you hear all the time the dating pool. Women will say the dating pool has piss in it. The dating scene is trash. This and that, and we just want to have a discussion there. Maybe some men watching tonight and want to maybe get some pointers or understand more about how the women see the dating world, and this would be a good open dialogue, and let's get into it. So I guess generally, before we get into more specifics, um, can you talk a little bit about your experience in dating, what that's been like? Um, you don't have to go in too much detail yet, but hey, if you want to, go ahead. This is open discussion. So I guess, Lami, we'll start with you.
I knew you was gonna do that.
Yeah, you look like you wanted to get called on, so like you
I
didn't want to
didn't.
get called on, so I had to call on you.
But see, I'm here for that reason, so I don't mind. For me, dating has kind of been just the piss in the pool type of vibe. So it's like when I engage with someone, I'm dating for a specific reason, depending on the season, depending on how I feel. So dating for me is kind of like an up and down hill battle. Men really just want one thing when they're approaching me, or they're either too intimidated by me for whatever reason. So LaShawn is my friend. LaShawn is like my friend slash therapist. So she kind of coaches me through these things when I get so irritated at how dating is in 2022, 2021, and things of that nature. I don't really, I kind of get so frustrated with dating simply because men are not who you thought they were back in the day. They're not who we thought they were back in the day, I should say. And it's just not really a vibe for me. So right now I'm not dating. The summer's coming, so I'll definitely be back on the dating scene. However, for right now, just to protect my peace of mind, to work on myself. I know it sounds so cliche. A lot of women always say that. It's just something that I'm doing right now. So as soon as like it hits maybe like 75 degrees, I'll be back outside. But dating for me right now is just, it's kind of like a waste of time.
Mm, that's interesting.
Is there any specific like scenario or experience that pushed you over the edge, or were you just
I wouldn't
accumulation of
necessarily say over the edge. More so just like it's tiring. So I went out with a guy this past summer. Real cool guy, very consistent, took me out every week. He lives in Jersey, I live in New York. Very consistent. However, he I just knew he was full of shit. I knew he was lying. Jamaican dude, and I love my Jamaicans. However, it just became so redundant in his line for whatever reason. And I knew he was on. I told him, I'm not looking to be your girlfriend tomorrow. We're just getting to know each other. He couldn't really take that on. I think because he felt as though if he told me exactly what he wanted, I may kind of shy away from that, not even understanding that I may have wanted the same thing. So he just told lies consistently. So I can't do lies. You can tell me whatever, I just can't do lies. Another guy, his personality was just kind of whack. Um,
How so?
I just haven't. He was just very shy. I'm very outgoing. I'm very like direct and in your face. So with him being like that, it was just it just wasn't really my vibe.
But wouldn't you think that's like a balance with your personality, like him
No,
being shy?
absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Because we couldn't even have conversations. It would be like a text, hey, how you doing? I will respond. He will respond with, there's no conversation. Like some of these men lack conversation. They don't even know how to talk to women. They don't know how to engage and hold conversations that last. And I'm not a texter. They always wanted to text. And I feel like it's convenient when you don't really have a personality. So when you don't have a personality, you can hide behind text messages and ask me stupid questions all day. Like, what you doing? How was your day? It gets redundant and it gets old. So it just wasn't something I could keep up with emotionally or mentally, because I'm more stimulated by thought-provoking conversations, and those men couldn't give me that. So that was like another downside to dating certain types of men. But they look good. It just wasn't my speed.
So um, you decided then that you wanted more. Wanted something that is a little bit more substantial.
It
And
wasn't then when I decided that, though. I knew that that's what I wanted. I wasn't ready to fully jump into a relationship or commit to anyone, but to even keep my attention, we had to have a certain level of communication, and we just didn't have that. And for the most part, men like to text more than they like to talk. So that just was like a no go for me, because I can't really get to know someone via text. You can't really figure out my personality via text, because I'm a funny motherfucker, and you can't see that through text as much as you can with like me coming out, and really getting a chance to feel my personality.
I don't know if the meme and gift game is popping, then you can kind of show off a little bit.
No, you can only go so far with that.
True. Okay, we're gonna there's a lot to unpack there. We're gonna come back to that.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
How would you define a real conversation? Because I feel like I ran into like a situation with a woman online, and she'd always be like, yeah, man, a lot of guys don't know how to have conversations. And so I asked her, like, how would you define that? And she kind of said, like, she was voicing like similar things that she was saying, like, you got to overuse what you're doing. You can only say that for so long. So being the outgoing person that you are, like, how would you, like, what would be an ideal conversation for you? Like, what would
An
that look
ideal
like?
conversation for me, what that would look like is, we can start off with the basics. How was your day? Or instead of asking certain questions like, what are you doing? Ask me something else that I'm about to do. Get me to share something, open up a little bit more. Ask me, like, one question that I do like to ask most men is, what does your ideal relationship look like? And when I ask them that, some kind of shy away from it, some answer, and it's not the answer that I want to hear, but I'm really good at asking like thought provoking questions. So that kind of stems, I usually carry the conversations for the most part, but it kind of stems from asking questions that make people think as opposed to the basics. I don't like don't ask me basic shit. Like what you doing and how was your day? Did you eat? Still ask me if I ate, but stop asking me that because of course I ate. Of course I did. But try to like get to know me. You're not going to get to know me by asking me what I'm doing. You'll know what I'm doing, but you won't know who I am. So if I can kind of ask, provoke thought provoking questions to figure out who you are, because that's the purpose of dating someone in the beginning stages. You're trying to figure out who that person is. So I ask different questions like, what type of child were you growing up, or what are some things that you like to do for fun? That's like a cookie cutter question on Hinge. What do you like to do for entertainment? And they all say the same thing: bowling, hiking, stupid shit like that. But I start
Yeah.
asking follow-up questions.
Black
So,
people hike.
I mean, hiking
you
ain't
said
stupid.
what? I mean,
Black
black
people,
people do hike. I don't, but I'm open to doing it. Most of these men don't even get there because they can't ask things. They can't figure out what I like to do. They want to take you to a restaurant and let that kind of like be the end all be all. It's the easiest thing to do is to go to a restaurant. You
yeah.
don't even know if I like to hike or not because you didn't ask. You see what I'm saying?
That's real. That's real. Me personally, I don't even like restaurants. I don't like the idea of restaurants because it's
Neither do I.
it's like awkward. It's like, oh, okay, it's forced. Like I'm more like a activity based type of person.
I'm the same
Even this,
way. I'm the same
even this
way.
feel like a restaurant is intimate when you get the one
It
on
is.
one.
You have to. I don't want
Not
to
on
eat
the
with
first
someone
date.
that I don't necessarily know. You see what I'm saying? And I can't ask questions because my mouth is full.
But not everybody is a conversationalist to even function well at a restaurant with someone that they don't
Right.
know. Um, so that's interesting. Um, yeah, we're gonna come back to that. There's a lot to unpack in what you said, Lami. We want to hear from the other panelists as well. Ashley, uh, let's talk about it. Same question. What has your dating experience been like? Feel free to kind of share, talk about it, and you can go from there.
Uh, so for me, dating, like I pretty much ended up in a whole bunch of situationships. So I've never really had like an actual relationship. So what happens is I usually become attracted to somebody, or the couple people that I did end up in situationships with, I became attracted to them, and then once I see them and I'm focused on them, then I kind of shut everybody else out. But then I have a big heart and I'm a giving person. So I'm the type that's, jumping through hoops, doing stuff that, your girl or your wife would do, but
Mm,
then I end up getting the short end of the stick, if that makes sense. So really, like, my guard, because of the situations that I've been in, my guard is up. So I have a hard time like trying to bring that wall down so that I can date, truly date and mingle with people to see what's out there. So that's something that I'm trying to work on right now.
okay. So um, when you talk about situationships, what does that look like? In your experience.
So pretty much it was the relationship, but without the title. So, doing stuff for them, big stuff for them, but without the title, if that makes sense. I'm talking
Yeah.
to you all the time, every day. We do what we do, but there is no title to it.
So it's devoid then of expectations. So then, if at any point, he wants to back out, you can be like, well, we're not, you know,
Exactly.
we're not together.
Right.
Okay.
We're not in a relationship, pretty
Mm,
much. Yeah. So for the one of the guys that I recently was in a situationship with, because of how that wasn't my first time, with him. We were in a situationship years ago, and so he came back around. So I guess because I knew how it went down the first time, I already knew that I would get hit with the, oh, we're not in a relationship. So even though I was doing certain things for him, I knew that, I couldn't throw a relationship in his face because we weren't technically in a relationship, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
How does that make you feel though?
It makes me feel embarrassed, to be honest, that I put up with that for so long. I think for a long time I didn't quite know my worth until recently, and then it was like, you know what, I'm not dealing with this anymore. So I finally put my foot down and said, okay, this is the type of thing that I'm no longer going to allow.
Kudos.
I'm glad you found that out.
Yeah,
A lot of
kudos.
women, it's a lot of women that are in your shoes that just stay in that same hamster wheel, and it's like a vicious cycle. You think you found somebody, but they don't want to give you everything, and then boom, you right back to being by yourself. As soon as it's over, you're left by yourself, and like you said, you kind of cut off everybody, and then
Yeah.
now you're kind of in your own thoughts, blaming yourself, killing your own self esteem. So, I'm glad that you work your way out of that.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you. Because it's been years. So it took years for me to finally get to this point.
100%.
Yeah.
Nothing's easy.
Yeah, and that's the thing, men will do whatever you let them get away with.
100%.
And so, kudos to you.
Thank
LaShawn,
you.
same question. Um, Tell us about, your experience with dating. Um, does the pool
Before
really
you
have
say
piss
anything,
in it?
LaShawn, you don't play at all.
Well, my experience is a little different. I learned okay, so do I think yes, it has piss in it too, but I think that it's all in you knowing yourself. My experience has been I've been in relationships literally all my life, so I didn't really go through the whole, like, when I say all my life, meaning that from age of like, let's just start at 16. From 16 years old, I think I was in high school, had the same boyfriend all through 4 years of high school. College, 5.5 years with one person. After college, 6.5 years with one person. That was up until like 20. I think we broke up at 28. Then after that, maybe a year later, 4.5 years. Then after that, finally, I was like, I'm on a. I said I was so heartbroken after the last situation. I put a lot of the blame on myself. It didn't start with me, but I take a lot of the blame for that situation. I think for me, I think it was like the guilt and the regret and just all of that just kind of took a hold of me. And I didn't just I'm one of those people, I have to really, really like you, because I've been all I know is relationships. I learned quickly that you can't treat a random guy that you just meet in like like you're in a relationship, because you're gonna learn real quick, like, oh, no, that's not what they're looking for. So then after being single for 3 years, now I'm in a relationship now. Yes, a little under a year. So for me, I just think it's all in knowing, like really knowing yourself, like what Ashley was saying. If you know these are patterns, it's kind of like learning from your last situation. I can honestly say I never ran into the same thing twice. I can honestly say that through my like if I dealt with whatever I learned from the last relationship, I took that with me, but I didn't let it harden me or make me bitter. I was still always open to like, okay, I wipe my tears away, heartbroken, whatever, but I took the lessons with me, and anything that looked like whatever that last thing was that was so negative, I ran from it. Like, didn't want to deal with that. Like anything that looked like control, anything that looked like somebody trying to use you, whatever. Like I just never ran into that again. So that's basically, I feel like knowing what you want and knowing yourself can eliminate a lot of stuff. We don't always know people's intentions, but I think that I read people very well, even in the situation where I knew better. Like I did deal with a situation prior to getting into a relationship with a person that I knew for so long, and I knew better. Like I literally knew better, and exactly what I knew would happen happened, and that's what made me so mad. So because like I know that's gonna piss me off, make me mad, put me in this loop of being obsessive or feeling all these feelings that I don't want to feel. I just kind of just stay away from anything that looks like that. I won't do it because it's like I know I'm going to be the one that's going to suffer for it.
Can I ask you when your relationships ended? Like,
Okay, so let's start with the college one. That college, just young. We're just young. I went through too much stuff that I shouldn't have been going through from the age of 18 to 23. It ran its course. I finally had my last straw, and I just like I'm done completely. We parted ways. The 6.5 years, pretty much the same thing. Like he was he was older than me. I think he was 10 years old. I was 23 when I met him, and he was 33. Off the back, it started off with lies. He lied and said he was 28. I found out months later he was 33. Just
Oh wow.
and so he as I when you're 23 years old coming out of like I think I was in my last year of college, I'm still young-minded technically compared to a 33-year-old man. So it's like, as I got older in the relationship, I realized what I liked at 23. I'm learning. I'm learning life. I'm learning men. I'm learning me. I'm learning him. Like, like this was not what I needed. I saw the manipulation, the control. So at that point, he just was a liar, a cheater. So at some point, I just kind of was like, I walked away from that. Like, okay, I can't do this no more. Completely walked away from it. Then the next one, that was a really good relationship. That was my most mature relationship I can honestly say that I ever had. He was very he was a great communicator, very understanding, very thoughtful. Like he was a really good person to me. He was a really good man to me. I learned a lot from him. Then emotionally, I felt like we weren't growing, so I kind of strayed away, and I for the first time ever, I cheated. I strayed away from that, and he tried to work on it. I wasn't really ready to work on it, I guess, and then long story short, he ended up being with somebody else, and then I went on, licking my wounds in regret, basically. And so I took some time to myself, and I really enjoyed that actually. So now I'm back in a relationship.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, appreciate that, everyone. So kind of looking at dating from kind of taking a step back, then the people want to know, then why do women always say that dating is trash? And any of the ladies can chime in.
I personally feel like I'm not biased. I think within this last year and a half, 2 years, I can honestly see men's point of view on things to a certain extent, but I think it's not just women are not the only ones saying it. It's both. It's men and women are both saying that it's like trash, and it's really because the world, everything's changed. The music's changed, TV's changed. We have social media now. Like literally everything's changed. Like back in the day when men were like begging and crying and professing their love to women on songs, that's what the men in society were doing. So now we got men like within the last 10, 15 years, that's not what they're doing anymore. So that's the influence of the world. I don't know if the people are influencing music or the music is influencing the world, but either way, it's changed. That's really all it is, in my opinion. It's just we're not living in the same world, and it goes so much deeper than that. So I'm going to let somebody else get a turn to say what they think it is, but it definitely goes way deeper than that.
For me, I think that
I don't know that I can
go
really
ahead.
speak on it since I've never really done it. I think for me though, as far as like if a guy does try to approach me now, because my you know I just don't have the patience. My patience is very low and thin. So it's like the slightest thing, then I'm just like, okay, I don't even, feel like doing it. But, that could also be because I really need to take the time out for myself to just truly find myself so that I can get out there and date.
Okay.
Okay, so for me, I feel like, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay. So for me, I feel like a lot of people have this idea in their minds of the type of relationship that they want to have. And when they approach or meet someone new, they feel like that person is supposed to kind of uphold that ideology or that image that they have in their minds. So for a lot of women, I want a man that can provide, I want a man that can protect. And they go after a man who can't do those things or has no desire to do those things. I feel like social media has a huge part to play in that because everything is so easily accessible. Things like dating apps, Instagram, DMs, all those things, people are so easily accessible that people kind of I feel like people have kind of lost a little value. So because I'm talking to this one girl, if she flip her shit, I can go to the next. I can literally DM someone else or swipe to the next person, and it's just like a catalog of just humans where I can just go and pick the next person. So I feel like people hold such little value, but people still have this ideology in their minds of what they would like a relationship to look like. So these things are not adding up. Also, I feel as though people are not having conversations about what they want. They just go into things. I can relate a lot to what Ashley said. Like that's somewhat of my situation as well. I haven't been in like a relationship, a solid relationship in years. And because like Ashley, my patience is very thin. I don't have time for certain things, or I see like red flags. I might, kind of dabble in it just a little bit, but I know it's not for me. And I'm really quick to cut someone off. I don't keep people that I know I don't want around me. I don't keep them around for long. So just that coupled with like social media and just like the way, like LaShawn said, the way that things are these days, things have changed. Men are not crying in the rain no more behind us in these R&B videos, and I hate that, by the way. But a lot of women still
Wait,
feel
what?
as though they're not crying in the rain. You remember Drew Hill?
Yeah.
Everybody used to
With
cry in the
the
Tell
rain.
you
chest
that
out.
Yes,
they were
like
like literally telling you that they were better
Tell
than the baddest
me
thing.
what you want.
That's dirty
yes, with
Mackin.
the little hop and everything.
But they were
Tell
So
dirty
me.
when
Mackin.
men go back to doing that, say that again.
That's dirty Mackin if they're telling you that they're better than your current boyfriend. Like
See, men
literally,
don't
that's what
actually tell
most of
me
the songs
that.
are.
But see, it's the feeling that you get from those things. You know what they weren't doing back then? Talking about we was hoes, talking about I fuck a bitch and leave her. They weren't saying those type of things back then.
Were
You
they
see what
not?
I'm saying? They it wasn't like a when we were younger, we sang a lot of these songs that we didn't really understand the full meanings to. They still talked about sex. Like R. Kelly talked about sex in damn near every album. But it wasn't I feel like things were more sensual then. Sex has been around. Everybody's talking about sex. Sex sells. Sex is attractive. I feel like
Mhm.
everybody talks about that. However, things are just more degrading now. And again,
I
people
agree.
hold lesser value to others because everybody can just like if I don't know. I don't know if there are any hopeless romantics on the line, but if no one feels that bond with someone, or if they want, somebody told me I need to go back and listen to the music. I know they
100%.
were saying things like that, but the thing is, I wasn't really listening to most of it. Well, I'm lying because I listened to a lot of Pimp C. But the thing is, those I do those things. I just feel like still 90s R&B is unmatched. Y'all know what the hell I'm talking about, and
80s is
it's just
better.
not something that we
Really.
really have right now. I feel like times have changed, like
But I
LaShawn
think
said.
for what
So
you're trying to say, you really mean 80s R&B.
I
90s is
mean the
more rough.
90s. I do mean the 90s,
People
like Johnny Gill. I know the songs I'm thinking of because I listen to these songs every single day. So I know exactly what I'm talking about because I don't listen to the new stuff. Pimp C been
say,
dead for how many years? I still listen to him, but I don't listen to stuff that everybody got going on right now because it's just not my vibe.
no, I agree. Totally, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I would agree. Times definitely changed, and it reflects, in media. I did read an article with one of the creators of Tinder, and he said, you know, they said they designed Tinder to be like going through a deck of cards. So to your point, like
That's big
you know,
time.
like you just like you playing, just like all right, well this card didn't work, go to the next one, and
Right.
it's really
And
the illusion.
that's very unrealistic.
Yeah, and it's really the illusion of choice. You don't.
Go ahead, Beast.
You
What you
think
gotta
you
say?
have.
I mean, is it though? I mean, it's like,
It's speed dating on steroids.
That's exactly what it is.
It's not
That's why
realistic.
that's why I can't take anything. I'm not a social media person as far as like I remember somebody told me 3 years ago. What did they say? This is a new form of communication, a new form of meeting. You got to get with it and blah blah blah. I love meeting people in the most organic way, and I don't have a problem with it. Like I like going to somewhere in a group setting and friends are there, and you met someone and you go on and maybe y'all could create your own relationship or whatever. But somebody coming through me, like if I would have met my boyfriend now, if I would have met him through social media, it wouldn't have happened because naturally I just shut down. Anything coming through my inbox, anything coming through whatever, I don't take it seriously at all because like Lami said, it's like, oh, okay, well, and then it's the funny part is me and my friend, we can compare our inboxes and the same person is in our inbox saying the same exact thing, the same exact way, the same exact day, the same 1 minute apart from another. It is like, it's a joke to me. And it's like, yeah, that might work for some people, but it's just like, no.
Copy and paste, right?
I mean, to quote the
copy
great,
and paste.
to quote the
Sound
great
familiar,
Wardell
Beast?
Curry, shoot or shoot.
How did you
I'm
sleep?
shooting at Beast because we
What
had.
you
Yeah,
Sound
you remember what I
familiar,
told you about that?
We done had this conversation with Beast about like that copy and paste thing where you don't really get to know that person because you're just doing the same thing over and over and over and over and
And
expecting a different result.
there's a method to it. Like, I mean, like I copy and paste sometimes. Like
I mean, yeah, because you want to see who's gonna bite. So
it's a numbers game. I copy and paste.
I'm not faulting the person who does it. It's just for me, I'm not gonna be the one to. I'm just not gonna be the one because then also it'd be the same like you, for example. If you were this guy, good morning, beautiful. Good morning, queen. How did you sleep? Oh, how was your day? And then it stops there.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
she'll be back.
Yeah, she'll come back in.
How's she for
I feel like there's pros and cons to like meeting women online, just meeting people online. I feel like it's convenient sometimes. Like, oh, okay, here you go. All right. Oh, did you want to finish your point? Because I kind of like went on another point.
Oh, my point. Yeah, I was just saying like it could possibly the conversation could possibly go on there because now I'm just giving you one word answers like good, yes, no, whatever, and then it's like, and then it stops, and then the next day it's the same 3 things, and then the next day it's the same 3 things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like Lonnie said, people have nothing to actually say.
Oh, I thought you meant like people were like the opening message. Like if I said something.
That's fine for an opening. Yes, I understand. Like you don't know me, I don't know you. Good morning. How are you? How did you? I completely understand that part. But then it stops there, and then you do it again the next day. You like I can literally show you people doing this for a whole year straight, and then they'll heart eye everything, like everything, and then it's like, dang. But then randomly, dang, I ain't getting no invite. What?
I think that's unfortunate. Like,
I mean, you just described the classic F boy to a T.
This is what we're telling you. This is why they said the dating pool has piss in it.
Hey, I mean, you answered the question. I ain't mad at it. Okay, so
can I ask a question to the ladies before you move on?
Yeah, sure.
Can we get some funny dating stories?
I told you, I
don't think I have any funny dating stories.
I don't think I have like
a
funny
wild
dating
story. Like you went on a date with a guy first date, and he did something crazy.
Or maybe they ain't show up. Maybe they ain't look like they pictures or whatever like that.
Stories or anything.
This was not technically a funny story, but it was just like big red flag, super red flag. So I remember I went out with somebody, And for a long time, I don't know if this counts because I like he was my crush since elementary school. He didn't know me though, but as we got older, I was like, oh my god, that's this person. Blah blah blah. Anyway, long story short, we ended up linking up and going out to a restaurant. He was like, hey, you want to go to this spot? So I'm like, okay. So mind you, when you have a distant crush on a person, distant meaning like they don't really know you and you don't really know them, but you just see them all the time throughout the time of you growing up, right? So you have this image of who this person is in your head.
Mm-hmm.
So we go out and I realized, oh my God, he's an angry drunk. And it was just bad. Like when I tell you, it's like he got so drunk and he was just starting stuff with people at the bar. He got into it with a homeless man who was trying to give him a Bible. It was bad. And I'm like, and to him it was nothing wrong. I was like, it was just like a big red flag. And then somebody told me like, oh yeah, they just randomly. I didn't say anything about the person, about the day, anything. He just came up in conversation. Somebody's like, oh yeah, you talking about the guy who always drinking and fighting? And I was like, yeah. So I saw that like off the bat, like that was what he was known for, getting drunk. But and I just that night I just was like, he just killed every thought I had of him growing up. I was like, oh wow. It was bad.
That's yeesh. I don't know what to say
Okay.
about him.
Well, I mean, we've talked about the men and kind of the F-boy tactics, the what you doing to death. Good morning, queen. Good morning, beautiful. The rhetoric. What would you say? Having looked back on your relationships, what would you say has been your role in failed relationships? Ashley, we can start.
Okay. So for me, my role in failed relationships, I think is um just allowing them, like I knew there were flags that they were taking advantage of me, but I didn't put an end to it. So just allowing them to get over and do whatever it is that they wanted to do.
So you were basically a pushover.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Ashley, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
For you, do you think like honestly, how can I say? Do you feel like you were, because you were talking about doing big things for these people and acting like the girlfriend? Do you feel like you were like trying to like buy their love and affection, not just with monetarily, but like just you like proving? Were you trying to like prove something to them, like
Yeah.
in that way?
Like
Yeah.
you were
So you
willing
can
Yeah,
say
to.
that. So for a long time I felt like I had to prove my love. Um and then it just got to a point and it was like, okay, you're stupid as shit. Like, why are you doing all of this, you know what I'm saying, for somebody who is not even trying to be in a relationship with you? Or the fact that, you know it's like now he wants to be in a relationship, but you're not really at a point where you're ready to be in a relationship with him, but you're still doing for him. You know what I'm saying? So then I finally got to that point and I was like, you have to end it. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't allow them to continue taking advantage of me, because at the end of the day, I'm the one that's allowing them to pretty much get away with murder.
yeah, you
And then
control
I finally
yeah, you definitely. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh no, I was gonna say, and then I finally reached my breaking point, and it's like, but you could have ended it a long time ago. I didn't have to get to the point of where it was like I felt like I was going to snap and just lose it.
Could I ask you
Yeah.
this also, Ashley? Growing up, how was your image of yourself? How did you view yourself? Like
That's a good
from like
question.
preteen all the way to your adulthood. Like how
So
did
my
you view yourself then and how do you view yourself now?
So to be honest, like my self-esteem was really low, like as a child all the way up to adulthood, which is probably why, I allowed for guys to do whatever it is that they wanted to do, or I allowed them to take advantage of me. But now I'm like, I deserve better. You know, I'm worth more than what I allowed for them to do. So, you know, I kept putting myself on a discount for these dudes. And I'm like, nah, like,
Mm.
I'm not doing that anymore. You're going to have to pay the full price, or either, you know, you're not going to be able to get it. So, now I do see myself as more, I'm still healing. I'm still, you know, trying to get to a better place, but I just know that I deserve more and I deserve better than what I've allowed myself to put up with.
Could
And
you also
definitely walk with right. I want you to, from here on out, no matter if you feel it or not, and I don't care. Like, don't let, walk with confidence, no matter what you feel like or what you think of yourself. When I tell you that speaks volumes, just like don't, because people could sense and feel everything you just like. They could sense that on you. They could feel it through the things that you do, how you react, what you allow, all of that. Just always put that to the forefront, even if you don't feel that way. Fake it till you make it. Confidence, confidence,
Mm-hmm.
confidence.
I
And it
mean,
does, like,
it's it's
just do
also
that.
it's an everyday fight because I mean,
Yeah.
I speak for myself. I always struggle with my image, with how I carry myself, and just my whole overall view of myself. So every day is a fight.
Yeah,
It's always gonna be
we all deal with that at some
fleeting. Like
point. Yeah.
you're gonna one day you're gonna feel great, another day you're gonna feel like crap. But I feel like you just gotta find that middle, that balance. Like Beast, me and Beast go through that. We talk about that, and he does a lot of like he self motivates himself. He self talks. He listens to a lot of stuff that motivates him and keeps him going. So like just keep going on your path. I think you're on the way to a very big win. So
Thank you.
I feel you. I feel you. Like I personally, when I deal with people, I always deal with people with like a sense of fear because I don't want to lose that person. Because for me, just opening up to somebody else and giving my heart to them is a hard thing for me. So when I get that and I get that vulnerable, I get scared because I don't want to either ruin it or be the reason why it doesn't work out.
Right.
And I'm sure you felt that way. So
Yes.
you bend over backwards and do a bunch of all this other stuff to please that person, but you're not even really pleasing yourself.
You hit that on the head.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
felt it. I felt it when you started talking about it. I felt it immediately.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things you'll do when you love someone is you'll give and you'll sacrifice, and so it's not an indictment on you that that you're giving to these people that you care about. Um, it can just be as you get older and as you grow in experience, then that discernment just becomes sharper and sharper. Um, we're getting down to the end here. I just want to have a few more
Oh,
topics.
you ain't down at the
Real
end.
quick.
The other girls ain't say nothing.
Yeah, no, I was gonna throw the ball to Lami. Beast, hold on, hold on. I'll come back to you, Beast.
Uh,
Lami, what's been your role in relationships that haven't worked out, and then we'll jump over to Beast.
I feel for me, before, like in the very beginning, after the last relationship I had, a lot of insecurities. So sometimes when you don't have these like healthy conversations with yourself to kind of figure out who you're growing into be, or the person that you really want to be, you can kind of self sabotage certain things. So there was a guy that I was with. I kept comparing myself to the last woman that he was with. This was years. It was like 2012. I
That's
would
tough.
find myself comparing, like, oh, well, he bought her these things. Why doesn't he do these things for me? Or they traveled and did these things. Why they didn't do that for me? Those were my insecurities screaming. And a woman asked me, she's an older lady, and I love having conversations with older women because of the wisdom that they bring, or they ask certain questions that make me think about certain things. And she said, well, Lami, do you even feel like you're worth those things, or do you even feel like you deserve those things? And the question hit me so deep because I had to really ask myself that. I'm not speaking to anybody. I'm literally asking myself. So I can lie to everybody else, but I have to be honest with myself. And I felt like, no, I didn't feel like I deserved those things. I didn't even see those things for myself. So through like having these conversations with myself, I started thinking, what would I feel? What do I need to do to feel as though I'm worth that? So I changed my entire look. I started changing how I dress. I started cutting off certain people that I didn't want to be around, or people that didn't make me feel good. um, just just kind of like reinventing myself. So another thing that kind of sabotaged certain relationships for me, where it was me as the problem, was the fact that I had kids. For a long time I only had one child, and I was the girl that looked like, damn, that girl got two kids, damn, she got three kids. And then when I got pregnant for the second time and I had my son, me even opening my mouth for the first time to say, oh my God, I have two kids. And I had to tell a man that, like, when I initially started dating again, there was one guy who I didn't have any interest in. He asked me, who's that baby in the back? And he asked me how many kids I had. And that's when I felt like heat all over my body, like, oh, I have two kids. But I told him I had seven kids. He came to me because I didn't, that fear and just really trying to figure out, like, how do I even navigate having two kids? Like, girl, you really got two kids. And he wanted me. He saw value in me. He came to me, but I was feeling like, oh my God, oh my God, I wasn't even interested in this man. So I had to literally use that as a teaching moment to tell him, because he started asking a lot of questions about my kids. I did have an insecurity of being a single mom. I was young too, having two kids by two different men. That was a huge insecurity for me. I have a friend who has three kids by three different men, and she was dating. She's beautiful. She always kept a man. And I was just like, well, what is it about her that I can't, like, it was the confidence. Her confidence hit different. Like, I don't give a damn that I have three kids. So I started walking around with, once I started and she kind of talked to me and was like, girl, you are fine. You are this. She, kind of like uplifting me and letting me see the things that I was overlooking about myself. It started to hit differently. My posts on Facebook, they're still the same, but they started to hit differently as well too. Like the way that I was online, the way that I was in person. Like LaShawn told Ashley, you literally have to walk around with that confidence and literally feel that shit. Once you feel it, people will start to kind of catch on. They'll feel the same way about you as you feel about yourself. So now you really can't tell me anything, because my body snatched to have two kids. I feel like I'm really just that bitch. I know y'all can't see me from, the neck down, or the chest down or whatever, but I feel like I look good to have two kids. Like,
You can
who
stand up.
wouldn't want to? Oh, I don't want to do that.
I
That's why I gave you Instagram.
I
But the
mean,
thing is,
I mean,
that was a huge insecurity for me to have two kids. So I did self-sabotage. There were guys that wanted to talk to me that intimidated me, because I thought, oh, they had all their shit together. Whole time they had kids too. I don't know why I felt like it was a problem for me to have kids. I don't have baby daddy drama. I don't have just issues in my life to where it would prevent me from dating. So why did I feel as though me having kids was meant that I wasn't worthy of being loved or being in a relationship, or even just being taken on dates and courted and things of that nature? So that those are ways that I kind of failed certain relationships that I could potentially have in the relationships that I did have in the past.
Shoot, that was a word. Thanks so much, Lami. Appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
Word.
yeah,
Let me
staying
pass
on
it.
social media and living your life is true, Dre.
It's a fact. It's a
well
fact.
said, man.
Beast, you had something?
He
Or did
50
you
years
forget?
old, so
Yes,
he
I got
got
I got two things. So number one, Ashley, I want to commend you, like, just recognizing your worth through those situationships. I
Queen.
think I think it's I think it's powerful. Maybe so I'm really big on growth. At least, like, especially like over the last, like, 2 years, and just being intentional about it and welcoming it, um, no matter the situation. Like, I feel like every situation is an opportunity to grow from, to push me to, like, my ideal self. And so that means, like, having uncomfortable conversations with people, and just sharing how you feel. And also, I feel like, when I was listening to you, like, I think it's just so important to, you know appreciate how you grew from that. Like, sometimes, like, I'm not I'm not saying what you went through was good at all, but I feel like sometimes I feel like some of the things that we go through are the catalyst to who we, like, to recognizing the power and, like, the value of who we are. And
Right.
it's just like, for as bad as that was, at least, like, it's sometimes things like that are necessary just for you to look in the mirror and be like, damn, like I am the shit, like I am worthy. And so yeah, like I think that's that was something on my heart. I just wanted to say. And Lami, like you mentioned, like the importance of having confidence. Like that shit is real. Like that shit is real. Confidence just takes you so far. Like not in dating, not just in dating, but just in general. But especially in dating. It's just like you really
I
gotta.
want to say this real. I don't mean to cut you off, but I do want to say this really quickly. Um, for women who kind of struggle just to even build the confidence. So my what I'm saying here may not sound exactly like what Ashley is saying, but everything Ashley said, she hit on the nail for me for my experience as well. It took for me, like growing up, didn't feel very beautiful. Didn't, I was dark skinned, I had big lips, I'm Nigerian. So it was my name was longer than most people. So it was just like, you feel me? It took a while for me to really build that confidence. And I say this all the time. When you build that confidence, actually, this is for you. When you build that confidence yourself, it hits so different than people who just grew up with other people telling, "Oh, you're so pretty. Oh, you this, you." It just it hits a lot different, and nobody can destroy, nobody can break it down once you build it yourself. So just like LaShawn said, take that idea in your mind of what it feels to look confident, or maybe get on Pinterest and find like different outfits, maybe switch up, because I literally had to reinvent myself to build that confidence within me. It just hits different when you build it yourself. That's like, I didn't want to cut you off, but I really felt like I needed to say that, to build it yourself. Like, not from social media, what you feel like you should be or it should look like, what you feel from the outside, from the inside out, rather.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not just the look. Yeah, for sure. Like the look helps too, for sure. But like for you mentally, like what she said, what does that look like for you? How do you want to, how do you want to handle situations differently later? Do you want to be more stern, more assertive? Do you want to, stand on what you say and mean what you say? You know what I'm saying? What does you interacting with people who you feel like or know is taking advantage of you, and that alone is going to build your confidence. You're going to walk away from situations so proud of yourself and like, damn, like that felt good. And not, you don't and don't get it twisted. You don't have to turn into a mean, nasty person to be that way.
Right. No.
You just have
Right.
to be more assertive, and you can say it in the nicest way. No, I won't be doing that. No, I'm not. And it doesn't have to be, that doesn't look like anger. You know what I'm saying? So don't get that mixed up either, because I could tell that you have a nice personality, a beautiful soul. Keep that, but just add a little bit of, little hard not, life situation to it a little bit, and then, recreate that
Also, then with
part
that,
for
really
you.
quickly, Ashley,
Right.
with that, once you start building that, you'll notice that you're going to start to attract different people. The type
Yeah.
of men that you attract with that newfound confidence, they're going to be people that you probably wanted today or probably never saw yourself with. That was my experience. So when you start building that, you'll start to notice you'll attract different friends, different people, different environments, different surroundings. You want to do different things and experience different people. So it all that confidence is like the main thing that people need to have while dating, a mindset of where you're trying to go and know exactly what you're looking from people. So if you don't have this idea in your mind, like, okay, this is what I want from a relationship, somebody can come in and make you feel as though you want something with them. Because half those guys, you probably didn't even really want like that for real, for real. It just feels good at the time. I don't know if that's been your experience, but that's
Mhm.
been mine at times. Like, you don't really even care for these people. It just feels good for the moment. Like, somebody's giving me attention. Somebody kind of, somebody's vibing with me right now, and it makes you want to do things for them to show like, I'm worthy, don't leave, stay here, I can be this person for you. So it really does start from the confidence. And I don't want to just put this on Ash, this is just like also sharing my experience as well. It just hits a lot different when you just build that confidence up. Everything is like a game changer, literally a mental, emotional, physical game changer.
I got a question for y'all. If there's still time, like how much time we got?
We're running. We wanted to be respectful of people's time. I had two more things to cover.
Okay, I'll wait.
And then we get back to it. Yeah, we'll get back to it. So as women, I think I kind of want to put this question out there, and this is really kind of a lead into what we're going to discuss next week with the fellas. But from your perspective as women, in the dating world, what qualities do you think are important to men?
From a woman?
Yeah, yeah, in a woman. What qualities in a woman do you think are important to men? And men in the chat, feel free to chime in.
I ain't saying shit.
I imagine that a man, the right man, a smart man, or a man who knows what he wants in a woman, the main thing I feel like he would want is peace. Like I imagine like my husband coming home to a peaceful, clean environment where he's just like he's so happy he's home. He's so relaxed. He feels safe. He feels like unburdened at this, house. He feels taken care of. So peace for me, I think that's one of the main things is a peace. I think that he would want trust and loyalty. As cliche as loyalty sounds to a lot of people, it never dies. It's like loyalty that would never die or get old, for men or women. And pretty much I like a nurturer, someone who's going to make sure his home is in order, someone who's going to make sure that his kids are in order. Those are the main things that I think, with peace being the top thing.
Okay. Ashley, go ahead. Same question.
I agree with what LaShawn said. I would also add, someone who's smart, somebody who's about their business, someone who's going to hold them down. Yeah, businesswoman, someone who's not lazy, but, very productive.
For me, just to piggyback off of it, because I do agree with everything that they said as well. But I'll just add this in: a woman that's well kept, a woman that keeps herself together, her hygiene, her appearance. Peace to me being the biggest thing, but I think that that's another thing with because men are visual, so I do feel as though men would like a woman who definitely keeps herself up, amongst everything said prior.
Okay, so then, where do you think the disconnect? What do you think is the main cause of the disconnect? Right, because I think a lot of the things that you named, I think the fellas, in this virtual room and those in the chat would agree. Those are really good answers. And I, as a man, I do want peace. And that's one thing I saw in my wife. Peace, stability, and love and kindness. But where's the disconnect been? Why then? Women know what men are looking for, and there are men out there that have that. What's been the problem? What do you think has been the issue?
Anger.
That is
Anger. Both. Like I said, this can go deeper, but just surface level really quick. Women are angry at men, and men are angry at women. I'm speaking on the Black community only. There's a lot of past things, whether it's the jail system, drugs, people being left as single mothers, all of those things. It causes anger. It allows women to be more masculine, hardened, and on guard. And then they do vent out on social media, and that's why we're even having this conversation, because you said, why are women saying? If we didn't have social media, we wouldn't know what women are saying or what men are saying, because men used to go to the barbershop and talk to their boys, and women used to just talk to the other mom or the other girlfriend in their own personal thing. But when they got home, they weren't that's not what they were talking to the man about, like, oh, you da da da. It's like social media made it safe and okay for you to just spew all these things out for the public to see, and then and it plays on our emotions. But yeah, it's because we're angry at one another for a number of reasons, and it's like so some people are on the offense, some people are on the defense, and all you're going to do is protect yourself and to protect your ego, protect your pride. Even the men who are so willing to be this loving, caring provider, they feel these days stupid, or what they call them, simps now, because
Mm.
You have so many women running around like, oh yeah, if he ain't got no money, if he ain't got this, he ain't got that. So they would love to give, but they're like, I'm not doing that so she could like put me out there, got me looking stupid or that's one of the. It's just a lot of anger going on, and that's to me that's really what it is. We have it in us, whether we could. Whether it was nurtured into us or somebody could come along and teach us how to be a little more loving or soft or however it's there. It's just the anger and the pride, and it's just not connecting.
I also think it's lack of understanding
Mm-hmm.
because we're older now, so we are speaking from experience. But when you're looking at them when they're like in their teenage years, they don't understand each other, so they do a lot of things towards each other and kind of knock each other down to the point where they get tired, and it carries over to their 20s, and then that's where the anger comes into because this guy did this or this girl did that, and then they use that, they take that with them in their 20s and misuse that anger instead of trying to understand why that person did that. They kind of put their guard up and they're yelling at each other and doing all kinds of unspeakable things to each other. Then once they get to their 30s, it's kind of like they start to understand a little better than, and then all of a sudden, we start to get a little bit more equal footing. But that's why, like, it's important for, like, the ones who are mothers and stuff to always, and fathers also, to kind of just never bash the other sex, even though that person
Hmm.
did, or you deal with that outside of the view of children, because that's where it starts at. That's the genesis of everything.
That's facts. Because I know for myself, like I try not to speak badly of my son's father, especially in front of him, but he can still sometimes get the sense that, I'm irritated at his father and I can pick up on that. So I'm trying to do better with that without, allowing for my feelings to, you know, for him to catch on to that vibe because I don't want him to think that, I hate his dad or whatever like that. And I don't want that to cause him to look at me a different way. But he's definitely like picked up, the little arrows or whatever. So I try my hardest not to give off that vibe or to speak badly of his father, especially around him.
That's real.
What you think, Gail?
What?
Like the whole, I mean, I guess you missed the whole conversation, but I'm talking about just like the disconnect.
I don't know. I mean, y'all hit the point, so I have really nothing to add to it. I just
I mean,
Yeah.
based on your experience, is more so what I'm talking about. Like, where were you at in the trying to understand the opposite sex, especially when we were younger?
oh yeah, back then when I was younger, I was the typical man where like we just want to have sex. That was my mentality back then. So that's the disconnect there immediately because who's just gonna give it up like that? Nobody.
Facts.
But as I've grown older, of course I value women more now, especially now that I got daughters. So I have to figure out like, okay, I have to show her this is how it's gonna be. Watch out for these men who's gonna just want you for your body and all of that.
Does it hit different? I'm sorry, I know this is. Does it hit
Well,
different, like having a daughter and just knowing, like, dang man, like just it's one thing to hear that from other fathers to their daughter, before you had your daughter, but now it's like now that you had her, it's just like, damn, yo, like,
oh yeah, definitely. It definitely hit different now. I look at everything differently now. Like when now, before I had her, I was a little bit more impulsive. So if anyone like outside would like make me mad, I think about it now. I like, hold up, I gotta get home. I gotta get home to my daughter. I gotta
Hmm.
relax.
Mm.
What about music wise?
Say it again.
music wise, because we do have people that like guys. Like for me, I don't like using the word, but like even like the word bitch, calling a woman bitch. How does that? How does that? How different is that now that you're a father?
For me, it's like 50-50. It depends. It's like situational. Because, me and you joke around. Like, it's joking around. But when it gets to a certain point, like, all right, cool. I cannot use this language, especially in front of her. Like, that's not how you set the example.
Yeah.
You got to show
Yeah,
her.
to be honest with you, what you just said, like that's where the real disconnect really starts. Is really moms and fathers grooming and teaching their kids, like how to what's how to treat, what to look for, what's important in people. Like of course, because at the end of the day, when your kids get out here, you're their foundation. They're going to learn whatever else they're going to learn from the world. So they're going to go to school and hear about sex and all this stuff. It's your job to teach them about certain things first and have these very realistic conversations with them and go deeper, because they're going to always remember at the end of the day, no matter what they go out there, they're going to always remember, like, damn, like, this is, like me. To this day, it literally rings in my head every single conversation my father had with me. I
Mhm.
promise you, and at the end of every conversation, he always said, I know, he was like, you're gonna have to go through it to see what I'm saying, but you're gonna remember I told you this. He said that was the ending of every conversation. And literally, anything that I can say that I went through, heartbreak, he was like, well, he told me one day, oh, you're gonna be sick. You're not gonna be able to eat. You're gonna be this. You're gonna be that. And I'm like, he was, and I'm just laughing because I'm like, it made no sense to me as a child. Literally, I'm a child. He's
Mhm.
like, you're gonna go through this one day. He started it off as a story, telling me about this, that, and I'm just sitting there all caught up in his stories. And he was like, you're gonna feel it one day. And I'm like laughing. But when it happened, guess what I thought about? Damn, my daddy told me that I
Mhm.
was gonna be in this room sick. I can't eat. I can't. And I'm sitting there listening. I'm playing it in my head, and he kind of equipped me because I kind of didn't stay in it as long as I could have had I had not. Somebody was kind of
Right.
like putting that in you. So that's what, to me, that is where some of the disconnects come from. Your kids running out here, they don't they don't know what a relationship should be. They don't know how a boy should do this, how a girl should do that. They don't know. They just like, oh, my friend said he did this with this girl, so I want to do it too. And yeah, they're gonna want to do it, but they might ring in their head a little different if they remember, you know what, my dad kind of brought up
Mhm.
this, and I really don't want what I'm saying. He might evaluate it a little differently than he would just
Right.
off of not having that conversation with you and just listening to his friends, or wherever else he found it from. And she too. He and she.
Lami. So you're African. I'm African. I didn't grow up on love being shown. How did that
Neither
affect?
did I.
I say that, but how did that affect you when you were coming up dealing with men?
So, transparency, my dad got deported. I was young and I didn't grow up with him in the household due to certain circumstances. So, I didn't see love in the household. I didn't see, my mom hugging on my dad. Like I saw it, but it was very minimal because they didn't live in the same place. So, um my parents said like, "Oh, I love you, I love you." I heard that a lot. I heard it all the time, but the actual act of it, I never really saw that. So in certain relationships, and mom, she's so dominant. Like she's a Leo. She ran the whole household. So I watched my mom literally be the provider in the house, and it kind of sometimes because I knew I was like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like that. I want somebody else to do that. I just want to, like, I am nurturing. I just want to take care of the kids because me now, I literally turned into that. I'm taking care of the household by myself. I have my kids by myself. I'm literally doing everything that my mom did. And I don't like that. So it influenced me to see things like I'll tell LaShawn sometimes I realize, dang, my mom told me that. Or dang, I saw my mom going through this. I know certain things that I want for myself and certain things that I don't want based on what I saw growing up. So the love wasn't even really always there. Even in the Nigerian community, I didn't really see that like that. I see it now with our generation getting married and we see the affection and we see all that. But even in growing up as I couldn't even talk on the phone to boys. I was sneaking on the phone. I couldn't go on dates. One thing that LaShawn always tells me, even about my daughter, because my daughter's 13, she'll say, you know, she needs to see you being loved on by a man. And she also says she needs to date, you know, when she turns like 16 or something like that. And you know, you'll be able to show her and help her cultivate those relationships and things of that nature. But growing up, I didn't see that. I didn't see it. So that's kind of like my reality now. If
Full
that makes
Yeah,
disclosure,
sense.
what you just said.
I feel like all Nigerian women are dominant, but that's just me.
Yeah,
It's a culture. Like
I see it.
my family's Trinidadian. It's definitely a culture because my dad and mom were in the same household, and I grew up with them both in the same household. And my mom is eat. It doesn't matter. Her Caribbean self was still like very, you know, away. My dad was very like trying to, you know, trying to love her. Like he would come up to hug her, and she get like she like stop it, stop it, stop it. I'm like
That's
she did
cute.
it all. It was like a natural reaction for her or something. And I'm like, that's what I saw.
Yeah, I mean, my mom, you know, is a Nigerian. You know, myself, you know, my mom is dominant, but she dominated us. You know, and that was it. You know, when it came to um, my
So,
dad,
I'm
you know,
sorry.
she slotted in as, you know, support, and you know, um, she never, you know, upstaged him, you know, in front of us, and you know that was important. You know, I thought, you know, and that really shaped, you know, how I, you know, kind of view relationships, and it definitely, you know, changed and shaped, you know, my perception. Um, but yeah, I mean, this has been a great dialogue. I think
We need to do
you
this
know
again.
you know, dating with you know, or even encouraging your children, you know, to date is something very interesting. And as someone with no kids, you know, yet that's not even something. I mean, I thought about it, but you know, just understanding, you know, how perceptive kids are and how they would, you know,
How old
see
are your kids?
uh, uh, zero. I don't have any.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, with Chico, I think you said you have a daughter.
Yeah, just one.
Yeah. So anybody on here who has kids, like I was telling, like Lami said, I always think like you don't be the dad is like, oh no, 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 boys. You have to literally, because boys and girls are gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You have to show what type of guys to stay away from, not stay away from guys. Like who, you know what I'm saying? Like let her be able to see like this is what should be happening. This is what's healthy. This is, you know, all that fake that, oh, he jealous, he trying to control. You know, that's what that starts early with little boys. Why you wearing, like little girls be thinking it's so cute for a little boy to tell them you ain't putting that skirt on, and they like, oh, that's my boyfriend. He like, that is not healthy love. You like, you have to like guide her and, you know, into that kind of stuff, or else she just gonna be, you gonna try to keep her from it, and she gonna go more towards it, and then she did, but she ain't gonna know nothing. She just gonna be like out here going through stuff blindly and not even know what's good, what's bad, what's not, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. Because then what, she gonna be a grown woman at what, 25, 30, then figuring it out. It's like, nah, you have to like literally, like I say, 16, 17, they need to start. Yeah, you can go to the movies with him, make sure he's, you know, doing this, make sure he's not, you know, he's not making you feel uncomfortable. Yes, it's okay to go do that with him, because even sex, not saying tell her to have sex, not that, but sex is a very, people make their kids feel so shamed about sex, and that's why we don't know nothing about it. That's why people don't know about what their bodies can do or what's, you know, good or not, because you're just telling them no sex, instead of telling them this is how you protect yourself if you're going to do it. Because that's why I could go on to Planned Parenthood and all that stuff, but you don't want them out here just literally like hiding things from you. They might mess around and get an STD. They don't even know what to do or where to go because they're so scared to come to you and say, hey, this is what's happening. And then later on, her whole reproductive system messed up because she done had a STD that she was scared to tell somebody about because she knew nothing about protecting or this or that. Like literally, you have to be the first line of defense when it comes to educating your kids on the real stuff. Even as hard as it is, y'all have to find a way, because it's like their friends is like the blind leading the blind. They don't know nothing. They're gonna be telling them, they're gonna be showing them porn, and that's about it. They ain't gonna know nothing.
That's the scary part. That's the one.
Yeah, it's scary because I can imagine like me having to talk to my niece about it. Like she's 9, but when I tell you the stuff that I hear, if you sit back and listen to kids in a group talk and act like you're not listening to them. The stuff that come, like I heard 8-year-olds the other day, like last month, LGBTQ, yeah, the L said that just going, yeah, and then I think the transgender one, that's when you don't have the penis and the vagina. They're using the penis and the vagina. They're saying that this means that they know. So it just because it didn't come from you don't mean they're not talking about it. They're talking about so much stuff that y'all have no idea. But like, oh, he ain't ready for that. No, the world's making them ready for everything. So they gotta get it from you first.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely. But hey, last parting thought as we end this this ladies' lounge. It's been a great dialogue. We're gonna have the fellas on next week, and ladies, we will have you back for a group discussion. But last thing I want to leave you with: um, what advice would you give to men? So this is just just giving you an open mic, giving you a chance to speak. Men that are interested in dating you as a woman, what advice would you give them that maybe they haven't heard before or might not completely understand?
Pick up a book and read. Talk to older men. Talk to men that are married.
I don't know if this will make
She
sense,
can't hear you,
but
Lummy. Her sound
Yeah,
is
I don't-
I'm sorry, I can't.
Okay.
So
So basically, I just to finish my, just pick up a book, read, try to fill yourself with some sort of knowledge on what women like, because everybody feels as though women should adhere to the man. No, sometimes it's a partnership. You have to also adhere to us too. Be somebody that we would like as well. Try to figure out how to if you don't know how to communicate, learn, read books. YouTube University is always a thing. Just try to equip yourself with the ability to communicate. I feel like communication is so big, not just any communication, but effective communication. So pick up a damn book and try to immerse yourself in something other than what you know and what you and your boys talk about on a regular basis, to where you can stop doing, WYD in her DMs and in her text messages. So just learn a little bit.
okay, that's very Nigerian of you. My parents used to always tell me
Pick
whenever I
up
was
a
bored in the
book.
house, pick up a book.
Yes.
And
How you gotta say it in the accent though?
pass.
I had
Ashley,
to.
She busts out that
go
accent
ahead.
every day, all the time.
Same question, Ashley.
I think for me, just being open and honest and treating me as you would want someone to treat your mom or your sister or any of the other women in your lives.
Okay.
I think that first and foremost, I think they should. A man should know himself wholeheartedly first. Like, really be honest with himself about who he is and what he actually wants, and be honest about that. I know that's hard for people, but yeah, I think that they need to really understand, note, and because men deal with their own egos and insecurity as well. If you know that you're not in a space where you feel like you want to, you'll feel comfortable with dating, or you feel like you don't have the tools or necessities that you need to just be out here dating, then take care of that first. Because what happens is, I feel like a lot of men take that out on women, unknowingly or knowingly. They make it other people's fault, while they may not be, showing up as their best selves. So I feel like, know yourself and be honest about what you actually want. Seek what you actually want. And if a woman is on a certain level that you may not feel like you are there yet, that's okay. Get there. Like, don't talk trash about women and what they want. If that's what she wants in her life, and that's fine. But meet people where you are and try to get to where you want to be before you start, going out here bashing and, feeling the way about things. Just be honest about who you are and what you want.
I know we out of time, but it's this question I've been thinking about. If y'all got time, rather.
Yeah, I got time.
Sure.
So I've been thinking a lot about the question, like, what do you bring to the table? Like, I feel like that's a controversial question these days.
Don't be Samuel.
Hey, chill, man. I'm going somewhere with this. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, have you been asked that question? And what are your thoughts when somebody asks you that question? It's like a 2-part question.
Honestly, it depends on the. I don't think there's anything wrong with this. Wrong with the question. I feel like the question is being asked in off the back in an attack manner. That's where it really honestly comes in as a problem. Like a lot of people are doing podcasts now. So most of the times where I see it, or the people I'm seeing it from, is literally to start controversy because they have so much to to say. And the biggest thing I'm seeing now is, well, what do you bring to the table? And as soon as a woman starts saying like, well, as a woman, the household, I'm seeing a lot of men. I can get a maid. I can get a chef. I can cook by myself. I can do all that on my own. I don't need. I can go. They just literally are saying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. But I don't. Me personally, I don't have. I think that men. There's nothing wrong with asking the question, but I think that a man who knows what he's looking for can sit back and evaluate what the woman is going to bring to his table. He doesn't really have to come out and say, hey, what do you bring to the table? If he knows what he wants and he knows himself, he knows what he needs, he's going to sit back and evaluate, does this woman have the things that I feel like I need or I want to add to my life? There's nothing wrong with it. It depends. It's just the setting. Like, why are you asking the question? Do you want to see what the woman feels about herself, what she thinks of her value? Like, that's my thing. Like, why is that the question? Because I'm not seeing a lot of women ask that question. I know it's but that's my thoughts on it. It's nothing wrong with it, but it just depends on why it's being asked.
What are your thoughts?
So I've never been asked that question from anybody that I'm actually dealing with. I've only been asked those types of questions online. So I post a lot of, like, I guess you could say, controversial or thought-provoking topics on Facebook, and a lot of people comment, and I've had men come into the comment section and ask me, what do you bring to the table? It, like LaShawn said, it does have a negative undertone to it, and you're trying to size me up to basically see, like, if I'm actually worth how I feel about myself, or if my confidence is too high. Well, what else? I can do that. Like she was saying, I can get a maid. I can do this. It's evident with me. I don't share too much about my personal life on social media. However, like I'm telling you guys, I have my own apartment. I have kids. They eat. It's clean in here. I can already do these types of things. I can take care of an entire household. There's no man that lives here. I can already do everything you can do, plus do the things with the kids. I do everything. It's not something that I want to brag, and I don't want to. That's not my thing. I don't want to be a strong Black woman to where I can do everything. I do everything. But when I'm asked those types of things, I feel like I have to, like, because I feel like I'm being attacked. I feel like I have to knock him down just a couple notches. Like, let me get your mind right real quick. And so now you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just, I feel like I have to do that because I do feel like I become defensive when someone online asks me that when they don't know who I am, because you're asking to basically size me up. So there was a second part to the question that she said. I forgot the second part to that.
I didn't mention it just yet.
Okay. So yeah, people do ask me that, and I don't like the question, but I do feel like it's a topic that's just overdone, and I'm glad I don't see it anymore. Usually when I would see it online afterwards, I blocked everybody that asked that question. I just get them the hell out.
Yeah, I've never been. It's always online. I've never been asked that question by anybody that I was talking to. Anything. It's just like it's like a. I don't know. It's like one of those sneaky online things that people just like. Let me just sit back here.
I never heard that being asked to anybody till I saw Kevin Samuels' video.
I think he's the root of that evil.
Yeah.
And that's when everybody started with it was another podcast that was on, and the guy he literally was like, he just asked the question like this off the bat. What do you bring to the table? And she was scared to answer. So everything she started saying, he just started knocking it down. She said, well, I can provide it. I could get a maid. I could get a chef. He just started knocking it down. Like, she's like companionship. He's like, I could get a dog. I'm like, well, just say you don't like women. Just say, lady, I don't like women. Just say that. Like, he was not like, she was scared to finish her statement.
But I think, Lonnie, you said something really key in that, you can evaluate someone and see what they are in totality without having to ask that very.
That was LaShawn. I agree, but that was LaShawn.
Question. Oh, my bad. But yeah, no, I agree. I think you can evaluate when you meet someone. You can say you could see what they offer, but
Hmm.
just by asking questions and talking to them and getting to know them. So I find that to be very interesting that question gets asked a lot. Um, it, there's a lot to unpack with that question because
It's a stupid ass question.
I think that question turns
And I'm gonna explain why.
dating into a transactional thing,
Yes, it
Mm-hmm.
does.
and it's dating is not simply I give you this, you give me that. It's not what's the term, quid pro quo. It's not like
Hmm.
that, where that takes love out the equation. That takes sacrifice out the equation. um, and
It
so
puts
I don't.
competition in it. It puts like competitiveness in it as well. And it's just
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I
So
think no, my bad. Go ahead.
no, you're good.
I think I think the issue with that question is the approach and the purpose of it. Um, I was thinking about that question a lot because yeah, it's listening to your answers. It's like it's the common narrative of oh okay, it's confrontational. Oh, I feel attacked. Like oh, you coming for me. But then I started thinking about that question, especially um, over the last couple of days, just really thinking about the like how you really got to be intentional with like everything that you do.
Hmm.
Like,
Two times you said it, Gail.
huh? I said it. Oh well,
Intentional twice.
but it's real. It's real. It's the cliche word of 2022, but
No,
it's
it's your
real.
cliche word.
Hey, fuck it. All right, it's my cliche word hashtag. Shot by Beats cliche. But nah, but really, like it's like the more the more things that I do, the more actions that I take, the more experiences that I go through, it's like you really got to be intentional about everything, even down to the questions. And the reason why, and so I started thinking about that question, like, what do you bring to the table? And I feel like everybody asks that question on a very surface level type of thing. It's like, oh, well, like, oh yeah, it's confrontational. But I started thinking about it with the mindset of being intentional. Like if somebody, like I asked a couple friends, both women, that question, and one girl was like, "Well, I'm what inside jokes y'all having, y'all? Let me say
Keep it going,
Go
Mason.
ahead,
Keep it
man.
going.
Go ahead.
Keep it going.
Focus.
Keep it
Hey,
going.
man.
So anyway, like one girl was like, "Well, you get me," and she was like, "Well, I'm supportive. I'm this, that," and so I started asking her like, what does that mean? Like, what does it mean to be supportive? And there's no right or wrong answer, but like, what does that mean to you? And just breaking down those answers. And it's like I feel like I would like to think I'm gonna have to try this on Hinge next time or whatever. You know,
Right after the
Don't
live
do
end.
that. Don't do
Right.
that.
nah, nah. But
Let me
I'm
tell
gonna
you
do.
why not to do that. Don't do that because you're gonna set again a negative undertone to something that hasn't even blossomed yet. I don't feel like you should ask those questions if you're trying to get to know someone. The art is getting to know the person. People like instant gratification these days to where they don't want to get to know the person because I can. It's like you want a resume right off the bat. Like, hey, how are you
Nah,
doing? What's your name? How old are you? Okay, so what do you bring to the table? How many
nah,
kids you got? Do
nah.
you have any ST? It's like a I feel like that question in and of itself is just like give me everything that you are right now the first 5, 10,
It's a
20
journey.
minutes. It takes time to really get to learn someone. You don't know, she can tell you she's supportive, but you may never see that until you really need that support. You see what I'm saying? You may not need support in the first 6 months, but let's say you fall on your ass or fall on hard times, and then she shows you that. You cut her off because she says, well, I can give you support. And you kind of like side eyeing her, like, what type of support can you really get?
Nah, nah.
I'm
and
not
then
saying
for
that that's what you're saying, but
I got.
this is the reality of certain things. Men do write women off, and women do the same thing to men in the first couple conversations, like, oh, this is not going to be the one for me. And we miss out on true opportunities to get to know people as lessons or season. You know how they say people are for a season or for a reason or whatever like that. People help you grow, and you're never going to really get to know that person if you need to know everything, like Omar said, blocking your blessings. But you
No,
never get to know everything in the very beginning by asking these ridiculous questions I feel like they are.
I don't really think that's ridiculous though. And the reason why I say it again, it's just like I feel like that question is a lot to unpack. I used to think it was kind of wild until I really started.
But so let me ask you. Let me just say this. You know, you can get the answers to that question if you just pay attention. I say that to you all the
There
time.
you go.
Instead of
That's
just
what I said. You just have to see, like, and then people start bringing stuff to the table that you ain't even know you needed, or didn't even know you
Right.
needed, wanted, or any of the above.
It's not really
That you didn't even know to ask for at
it's
that.
it's not really necessarily a question to just pass judgment. It's just more so just breaking down, like, what do you mean? Like, it's just like it's like for example, right? If a guy says, oh yeah, well, I'm a provider, right? I feel like most your first thought or assumption is, oh, okay, you're gonna provide money. But a woman could be like, well, I got money too. I got my own place, boom, 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 boom. What does that really mean? So then I feel like it allows an opportunity for a man to or a person to just explain what he means. Maybe providing can be like, yo, you provide a listening ear. Maybe you provide encouragement. Maybe you make providing can mean so many different things.
bro.
Anybody's answer can be so many different things. And so I just feel like it's just that it depends on how
you can also ask that question and somebody can give you bullshit just to get you.
You really can.
That's what I was going to say too.
And then you get the job, and then what?
And then you don't know how to.
No, that shit makes sense in my head. Like, I mean, it just like
keep it in your head, bro.
No, I'm about to ask somebody that.
But here's my question.
I'm gonna tell you why.
How are you
outside of it being offensive, it can also you PTSD and dating is a very real thing. So
hold on a second, please.
Go ahead.
Why is it offensive? Like, why is it? I feel like it's only offensive if you don't provide context or perspective. If I were to be like, yo, what's a real conversation, like earlier, right? If I just left it at that and don't provide like, oh, okay, yo, what's a real conversation? Because, a lot of women be like, oh, people be talking about what you're doing, boom, boom, boom. How would you define it? I feel like, okay, cool. You're real. Like,
okay, how about this? How about
remember the conversation, the question that was asked, what was it? What's the disconnect? I feel like you hear what we're saying, but you're still deciding to go with what you feel is like the right thing. You're trying to be with women, and women are telling you a certain thing, and you're kind of like disregard it. I don't think that I don't know. I just don't think that it's conducive to actually fulfilling like the desire to be in a relationship or get to know someone by asking those questions right off the bat. We're literally telling you we don't like this, and you're saying, no, I feel like you got to give context. No, get to know the person and go from there. Ask other you can ask other questions to get the answer to that particular question because that question has such a negative stereotype to it that you can kind of go around. If you want to cut corners and go around it to get the answer that you're looking for, ask other questions. That's what I'm saying. Men don't even know how to have conversations. You can get whatever answer is it that you want. You don't have to ask that particular question, if that makes sense. Like if I want to know something about you, I can ask you 15 different questions. You can tell me so much, and I will know everything that I need to know without asking like a direct question. This is what I mean by effective communication. You don't want to offend someone. We're telling you like it is kind of offensive, or we do feel this type of way about it, but. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with your thought process, but
it's nothing wrong. I was gonna say it's not. You're not wrong for thinking or feeling that way. I was gonna say it's not a wrong. It's just like you said, we're telling you that's not. It's just when I was gonna say something about PTSD and dating. Literally, you could lose out on a chance with an awesome woman just based on because the last two dudes who asked her that. It could have been. She probably relates that to anybody who asks me that question. I can't even. I don't want to because of something else. But
I get what you're saying, right? I get that. But if I was to be like, hey, I want to ask you something. I know this is controversial. I know this is not a great it's not hey, I'm gonna just say controversial for lack of a better word. But I want to ask you, hey. what do you bring? Like, what are your thoughts when someone asks you, what do you bring
I
to
get
the
what you're
table?
saying.
I'm not,
I get what
and
you're
I'm
saying.
not,
I would,
and it's just a conversation. Like, I'm not, like, I feel like there's a lot to unpack here, and I want to explore that. I'm not
right.
using that. I'm providing all the context. Like, hey, I'm not using this to judge you. I just think, like, hey, if you tell me that you're a supportive person, I want to know what that looks like. I want to know how you define that. I want you to be intentional with. I want you to
That's
paint
fair.
a picture for how that looks like. So if you,
Yeah.
so that's what I mean. Like, there's so much to unpack. Oh wait, what you saying? Like, what?
High five, beast. High five.
Intentional 5 times.
It's like you gotta really be intentional like that. Like, coming back, like, even going back to, like, saying, "Oh, I'm a provider." It's not just that. How you gonna like break down if you're talking to a woman
Bro,
who
but you gotta understand, in the context of trying to date somebody, you want to get to know them so you can
but
actually see
that's
what they're
still
bringing to you. But
that's
you,
still
Because
you
that was
talking
going to
about,
be my
you're
question. At
talking
what
about two different
point
things. You're
do
talking
you
about
ask this
having a
question?
conversation.
Like, when do you ask this question? Is it like the first few conversations?
oh
Because this is further along down the line when you've built some sort of rapport
yeah,
with this person.
yeah.
Okay, okay,
So by
I
then you
can
should know.
understand
Oh,
that.
okay, I should have, yeah.
Exactly.
I
I
mean,
think by then you should
By
have
then you
already
should know.
asked
Like,
certain
if you're
questions to
dating
even be
somebody
able to
for
get
about
the
4 or 5
response
months,
that you're
you
looking
don't
for.
understand, you don't
But
know what they provide in a relationship, then
Hmm.
you dating the wrong person.
but the thing
You
is,
in the
right?
wrong situation.
The thing is, right? You said
I
people
see what he's
should.
saying. He's basically, are you saying like, okay, you're not necessarily it for conversational purposes? Like he said, he was giving context. Like, hey, like if I'm talking to somebody, and like I know this is a controversial question, but what are your thoughts on blah blah blah? And what do you if you're asking it like that, and you're saying like for just for conversation purposes, and you want to see how the person feels about it and what their thoughts are on support or this or that or the other. Because like I said, I personally, when I first answered the question, I told you I don't think it's anything necessarily wrong with the question. It's just that when it comes out in a negative, attack mode or context, or they're trying to use it for those purposes, is when I feel like it comes off that way.
I
But
want
I
So
mean,
Someone said something in the comments like getting to know someone shouldn't sound or seem like an interview. That is a really, really big thing. I get super turned off when somebody's trying to size me up to like whatever list that they may have in their mind. Or let me ask her this, let me check this off and make sure that I even want to speak to her. I'm turned off by that. And I also feel like as men, you should, or not even as men, just as people, period, having conversations with other people, you should also test the water, see the temperature, read the room, and see if you should have already had certain conversations prior to asking these types of questions to see if this person like may have some sort of PTSD behind certain things, certain topics and things of that nature. Like a girl who's or someone who's been sexually assaulted before, you're not going to ask them certain types of things, but you can actually get to know that if you ask certain questions. I use that not to trigger anyone or anything like that, but I use that as an example that we can all kind of understand. You don't want to be triggered in a certain type of way. So if you're having, that's why I said, pick up books, watch YouTube, talk to older people, and learn how to communicate effectively. Because just because you might think a good thing, and this is not just towards you, this is just in general, because you might think that it's a good question to ask or a great conversation starter, it may not be good for that person. There are there are different ways to start conversations or get certain things out of people as opposed to just asking one conversation. What's funny?
Oh, so
I'm reading the comments. Somebody said,
Oh,
"Don't
okay,
ask
okay.
me
Don't worry
about
about
what
your
I'm
own
hold on,
reading."
hold on,
table.
hold on
let
a
me
second. Hold on a
I want
second,
to
Beast.
address
Hold
that
on, hold
comment
on,
too.
hold on a second,
Yeah,
Beast.
okay.
Hold on a second, Beast. I think I think that's valid. I mean, I think that's definitely true. I was before that comment even came up. I was thinking of a job interview, right?
Hmm.
Um, I think you can go into a job interview one of two ways, right? When you're trying to get hired to a great company, do you go in there like, hey, uh, what do you have to offer me? You don't go into a job interview like, hey, Amazon, what do you have for me? You go in there and you say what I can do to add value to you, what I can bring to the table, right? Like what I have, my capabilities, my strengths that I can complement what the group is already doing, what the company is already doing. And so, you know, just like I think if you go into an interview and the first thing you ask them is like, hey, how many weeks of leave do I get? Or uh, what's your what's the bonus structure looking like? How much y'all paying? Right? I think that would automatically be like they're like, nah, they're not for us. And so I think that applies, quite a bit. I think, too often we look at dating like, you know, I give you this, you give me that. Whereas, I see it more like a pot. You know, we're both throwing into this pot, mixing it up and coming out with something beautiful. But go ahead, Beast.
So I was looking at the comment. Let me go back to that joint.
Which one? I'll put it up on the screen.
The latest one. Oh, I didn't know you was controlling. That's pretty cool. Don't ask me about.
You thought it was automatic, huh?
Don't ask me about what I bring to the table, and you don't have a place set in the chairs. Worry about your own table. Like, why can't I ask you about? Like,
Don't throw stones from a glass house.
You said what?
Don't throw stones from a glass house.
I mean, like,
that's like a broke person giving financial advice.
Well, no one's saying you can't ask the question. You can very well ask the question and just be ready for the thought process, the response, and all that you may get from that. I mean, if that's a part of your, you know what, this isn't the person I want to be around or I want in my life, then that's fine. But we're literally, I mean, it's no one's saying you can't ask it. You can ask it.
I guess the reason why I'm asking is more so like sometimes it can be art. Sometimes it can be difficult. Some people can't. Some people have trouble conversing with one another. Not everybody's a good conversationalist. Maybe some people may mean well. Some people may feel like they have a lot to provide or to get. They have so much to give to somebody, but they may not know how to articulate that. And so they provide these basic ass answers and shit. So it's like if I just have a healthy conversation just as a way to get to know you a little bit, like.
But how can't you have a healthy conversation without asking that question?
I mean, you can, but it's just like I feel like if you just reframe it, like I'm just like if somebody like I guess maybe I could okay. Maybe
well, Lonnie said that. She said that you can reframe it with a whole bunch of other things that pretty much is, in some. It's just the phrase. What do you bring to the table? You can still ask that same question without that. It's like you for some reason you're stuck on that phrase for whatever reason, and it doesn't have to be that phrase. You can still ask, like Lami said that earlier. You can definitely get all the answers about whatever it is that you want out of, but for whatever reason you still want to use that phrase. And is it because you want to see the person's reaction to it?
No, I just want to know what they say.
But you can still ask it in a different way. That's why I'm saying people need to learn how to communicate. If you knew how to effectively do it, you can get the answer without saying much. Ask about, okay, so what would you consider what would you consider one thing that you need a woman to bring to the table? Answer me that and I have something for you. What would you need a woman to bring to the table?
Got his ass. Look at him.
No, I got me a list. I'm about to pull it up. Like,
you got a list.
Now he got a list.
I'm just gonna pull one
list
because
you don't know off the top of your head.
Just one thing.
Like you got a list.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna write that shit
down. But listen, you should already know. See, that's the problem right there. You should already know exactly what you want a woman to bring to this, table.
This imaginary table.
Right, it's very much imaginary. So just give me one thing off the top of the dome or off the list or whatever.
Someone who understands my love language.
So you can ask her what are her love languages. Just at least to show interest in her at some point. Women love that shit. So what are your love languages? You know what I'm saying? Ask her that. And then she may turn around and ask you what your love languages are. And then you turn around and ask her, well, let's say, for example, I was, if you like physical touch or quality time or whatever, you start asking questions to see if she would even be opposed to doing certain things. So you can ask it that way. That's something that you want brought to the table. That's the intentional. You're intentionally trying to get a response from her. You see what I'm saying?
But you just love that term. What you bring to the table
too. I love it. But see, it's a phenomenal word. I completely agree with you. But when you're being intentional, you have to get it out the mud with someone. Get it out the mud and go out getting the answers that you want a different way. That'll show her like, oh, he's very intentional. We love that word too as women. You know,
You get
you see what I'm saying?
you're getting
I
free
think it's
game
funny.
right now.
Wait, speaking of intentional, I think it's kind of funny how like Cedric, like, you know, I'm gonna call you out, whatever. You laugh when I pulled out my phone and you know, went down through my list. I feel like that's being intentional because I may not always know
You're right.
what
But see, as a man, you should
Bro, I
know
know,
that you're
I know
not
what
being
I want.
intentional about what you want if you don't know it off the top. Like me,
Bro, that should
I
be
know that I
second
want
nature,
someone that
bro.
could communicate well. It should be second nature because it's what you want. You literally, I can tell you right now,
At
I
least
want
5
someone that don't
things.
want
At least
to
5.
fuck on little kids. I don't want a pedophile. I can tell you what I don't want. I can tell you what I want. I can tell you I need someone who's going to learn how to communicate with me if I'm sad, or if who's not going to just ignore me and be like, let me give her space. I don't need my space. Talk to me. I know off the top of my mind, I want that. I don't think about that every day, but I can give you anything off the dome. Or I don't want someone who is going to go days without speaking to me. I don't want someone who's going to wake up in the morning and don't feel like he needs to reach out to me. That's not, it don't have nothing to do with no table. It's just something that I know that I want that from a man. So you should be able to tell me at any given day and time, even when you wake up and don't even have the crust out your face, you should be able to tell me this is what I want from. Can she stand my morning breath? Period. It's so many different things
Also,
that you
real,
can say, like, this is what
I
I want
need a
from a
girl that's gonna
woman.
love some sort of sport. Like, could we watch basketball
Off the
together?
top
Could
of
we
the
watch football
dome.
together? Could
but what
we
if
could we go to the movies?
And
Could
she
we
can't tell you
go
that if you
eat
asking her what she
tacos?
brings to the table. She can only tell you I cook, because that automatically, women sometimes get on the defense like, I cook, I clean. Everybody turns us into these fucking slaves and maids and fucking people walking around with just walking milk. You know, sometimes that's how I feel listening to that type of thing, because it's just, what do you have to offer me? Well, first of all, I need to even know if you're worth any of those things that I can actually bring. Do I even like you first and foremost? Because a lot of people ask this question, and I would never give you any of those things because I don't even like you. You see what I'm saying? Some people talk to other people and they're trying to get to know each other, and that they don't even realize, I don't even like this person. We're not even compatible, but you're asking me this question. So now I'm gonna beat down your block with everything that I feel like. And that turns women into like the Hulk. Like, I got my own job, I got my own this, INDEPE. You know,
I don't
it
need
turns
no
you
man.
into that. Yeah, and you can get the feminine response if you just go about it a different way. That's
Yeah,
all
when
I'm saying to
women feel
you.
safe and they get all like that's she
Yeah,
don't
you're
feel
gonna
safe
get
if you ask her
everything out
what
of
you bring to
her.
the table.
You're not trying to
I
get
feel
Just
like
change
her.
just
But
take
this
the
is
words
why.
out your mouth. Just change the
Yeah, this is
phrase.
why
all
women
right,
get
Say,
along
hey,
better.
baby.
Maybe you should get a
Yeah,
man.
like just
so,
You
change
know,
the phrase. Even if you want to say,
this
Hey,
is just a
something, I
lesson
don't know,
for
something
women.
else.
You're getting this from women for a woman. We're literally telling you don't do this, and you're still going about it with.
she's not
See,
German.
break
It's
down
bad.
that wall just a
nah.
little
The
bit.
reason
I
the
know,
reason
I know. Or
the
should I
reason
say it to you in a language that you
nah
understand?
the reason
Okay,
I'm keeping this same the reason I'm not backing down is because I've asked other women
because
and
you
it's just like
stubborn.
it's a healthy
She's not
conversation.
German.
It's a question. It's just a question. How you respond is your prerogative, but it's just a
Take
question.
my advice just once, and I want you to hit me up on Instagram and let me know how it like
I will.
what was the difference. I want you to try that one time with a woman. Go
You
on
ain't gonna
Hinge
do it.
and have a conversation with someone
You ain't
and
gonna do
try
it.
my
Oh,
method.
I'm gonna
He
He
definitely
he
is
go
gonna do it because
down
I'm
he
gonna
here.
got
check. I'm gonna
no.
check.
He's gonna come
You can
back
do
and be
that and
like
then come back and
GTD.
tell me.
Nah, I'm gonna
Got
set
the
up
draw. You are gonna say you
GTD.
got the draws. I know you're gonna say that because that's more
Got the
enticing.
draws.
Yeah, it's more enticing than what do you bring to the table. Or let me
so
ask
all
you
right.
this. You can style it however you want to. It's still gonna be like,
All
I
right, so
can cook.
let me ask you, right? So when your response was like, why am I going to tell you? I don't even know if I like you. Boom, 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 boom. So then my next question is, well, what do you like in a man? Sometimes people, I guess, the reason what I'm trying.
Why would you want to know what I like in a man when I already told you that I don't like you?
Pew, pew,
Well,
pew, pew.
what don't you like about me?
The
First of all, you
conversation is
asked me what I
over.
brought
The
to the
conversation
table.
is
Bro,
over.
you just
You lost me at what I brought to the table.
Yeah, the
Man,
conversation is over.
he's a glutton for punishment. That's what he is. Good lord.
well, I just feel like
Throw in the
See
towel, beast.
what this person
Throw
said
in the
just
towel.
right now. It's very valid. It's only healthy if the other person is receptive to it. It's not up to you to determine if the question is offensive, disrespectful, etc. That's up to the person on the receiving end. So if you were to add that, I would take some sort of offense to that. You know what I'm saying? So take that. If you don't take anything else that we've talked about, take that and just try to switch up your approach just slightly and see if you get a different response. And then come back to me on Instagram and let me know the response, because I'm trying to change your life.
No,
Like,
I get that, but let me ask you, right? Let me ask you, if you found that to be disrespectful or offensive.
I didn't say disrespectful or offensive. It could be.
Okay, if you feel like it could be, if I'm on a date with you and I ask that and you're like, oh, it could be disrespectful, are you going to tell me, or are you going to keep it inside?
I would definitely say that. I would definitely
Like,
say
You just won't hear from her
I
again.
don't really like that question.
Yeah, you won't. You definitely
You won't hear
won't.
from her again.
Because I guess the reason what I'm trying to say is, like, man, like part of communication and being communicative or whatever like that is just, or dialogue is not being afraid to ask.
Okay, so let's go back to the nature of things really quick. I'm sorry, real quick. Let's go back to, just forget all of this, then third. Let's go back to the nature of things. I'm gonna tell you the one main reason it's offensive to most women. Even men are supposed to see the value in women, and these days we don't feel valued anymore. We don't. It's like oh, if you asking a woman, she's a woman. Like, literally, just go back to the nature of a woman. What a woman is to the world, to a damn.
So that's all.
Yeah, what a woman is to the world, to a man, to the children. Just go back to what you know for a fact women bring to you. Which, like, forget what she thinks. What you as a man, what do you like? Your mom, your grandmother. What a woman is. If that question literally, in my opinion, it devalues her as a woman. It's like you asking a woman, what do you bring to the table? I know there are women out here be like, oh, I could sex real good, I could do this and all that. Okay, whatever. But like, literally asking women, it's kind of like, I'm a woman. What do you mean? I'm not saying that just because I'm a woman, you just supposed to lay your life down for me, but why do you need to know what this woman brings to? It's like, I'm a woman. It just is what it is. And that in itself.
Why is that unacceptable? Why is that
Listen to what I just said. Let's get like I said, let's go back to the nature of things. Just what women are to the world. Period. Not what how you feel about women, or like, not just that alone. It's like, that's why women are offensive. It's not. I'm not saying that's a valid response for her saying, I'm a woman. What do you mean? I'm telling you, that's the feeling. That's one of the feelings that comes along with it. It's like the person doesn't feel valued. If you came to me and he was like, oh, I want to, obviously if you come to a woman, you either find her attractive first. The first thing is attraction. So you found her attractive. Then, okay, now it's like, women are supposed to be this delicate, feminine, nurturing being or whatever, supposed to soften things up for a man and all this stuff. If you don't see the value in that, it's like, now I'm left to defend myself of, oh, okay, well, I can do this. Now I'm going down a list of things that I can do. And now I'm feeling like you sitting there like, like, I don't know what's going on in your head or what the thoughts are or whatever, but it's just like, I don't know, like this, it takes away the value that I may feel that you either lack in seeing me or not, to be honest with you. That's where it starts.
But I feel like that's why you provide. I feel like it all comes back to the context. I feel like if you say that, if you ask that question out the blue, then that's one thing.
This is really the hill you want to die on. I just don't see that.
He's willing to die for that phrase.
And look,
yes.
We can have a conversation off, whatever. Like, I'm just curious to know what y'all would say, because I feel like
we just told you that several times. You're not listening still.
No. You told me how you.
So basically, you want to ask us. Basically, long story short, you want to ask each of us what we feel like we bring to the table. That's what it is.
I just want to know what you say. You're telling me how you feel about the question itself. I'm just wanting to know.
But if they don't want to answer the question, they tell you why they won't answer the question.
And you're not listening.
You're not an effective communicator. They're like literally telling you.
You're trying to afford. You got a gun in my head, like you gonna answer this question.
Like, literally, that's what they're telling you.
Okay.
What do you bring to the table, Reese?
Why are you so disappointed?
Huh?
Because he was intentional. That's why.
All right, that's all you want. I just feel like, all I'm saying is that it's not really about the question itself. It's really just about the
But you're
response.
making it about the question.
So you
Huh?
want to know what you want to know the value that we feel of ourselves.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just say like okay. Before you just to switch gears a little bit, but not
So
really.
basically, Matt, he asked that question already without asking that question. He said, "What do you as women feel like men want out of women?" He asked that question. We each answered that question. So, in my opinion, that would be most of what we bring to a table. I said earlier, I feel like men want peace, nurture, trust, loyalty, all of those things. She said, whatever what she said, and Ashley said what she said. So all we literally put out what we feel like we would bring to the table, because those are the things that we feel like men want, and we feel like those are things that we can provide as well. So he did ask that already, but I feel like you're still like you're not realizing that you're hung up on the phrase of what do you bring to the table.
Okay.
Because if it was more so about the answer, then you would have just listened to what Lami said. There's so many ways to ask it without saying those particular words, and he had already asked that technically.
Okay. How else would you ask that question? Phrase it.
I told you, he literally asked that already. And one way that he asked was, "What do you feel like?"
I heard that, but it's just like, you know what? Never mind. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna sound like a little.
She gave you about 4 different examples.
But on the flip side, then you wouldn't be offended if you were judged by what you brought to this proverbial table.
You said, would I be offended if I was judged?
I'm asking Beast. Like, would you, if the roles were reversed and it was viewed transactionally, and if a woman felt like you didn't bring what she was looking for to the table, you wouldn't, or even led with that, like, what can you provide for me? How would you feel about that?
But I'm not asking it from a place of transactional. It's just I'm not asking it for the purpose of it being transactional. Like, oh, I'm gonna hear your response and I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, this date's over, I'm out.
Okay, but he's saying, what if she asks you that, you give your answer, and she's like, nah, not that, I'm good on you.
Then I guess she good.
She get up and walk away. She don't even say nothing. She just get up and walk away.
Time to go. Audio.
Her loss there.
Hey,
like,
Queen.
Hey, Feeny.
Oh, she's so cute.
Not you came out with the little doll baby.
Hey, Queen.
But yeah, I think we have a good
It's a lot of content.
A good lead into the discussion with the fellows next week. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Dre, you on this one next week too, man.
I still think it's a question to unpack though. Is it next Wednesday?
Yeah.
We can unpack the history of it.
That question is done.
No.
There's so many things in the Black community we can unpack, and you want to choose what you bring to the table.
Okay, I could have asked that.
Lord and Savior Kevin Samuels.
Huh?
Lord and Savior.
But like I done told y'all for like the 1,000th time, I don't agree with everything he say, but I mean, it's some stuff he be saying.
It all makes sense now.
For both.
You on mute, Lami.
I didn't know that. Sorry. I was asking you if you date Nigerian girls strictly, like just Nigerian girls.
No, I don't.
Because I feel like most Nigerian girls will love that question. Not me, but most will love it. It's like a nurse.
Not
I just feel like Nigerian girls in general, because what I see online a lot from, I do feel like just African women, but Nigerians leading, because with that whole nurse thing, it's just like they'll sit up real straight. I can do this. I can do this. I come with a Gucci bag. I have my own house. I have this. And it's just like, it's a thing in our culture to like boast, like, oh, this is everything that I have. I come to this. And sometimes she may have a whole lot more. She may bring a whole lot more than you. She might come with 6 tables and crush your table. So it's like that conversation is it can be crushing at times if you don't add up, to that. That's where some of the insecurities may be created too, if you necessarily don't match up to that woman. So figure out what she got going on at her table, figure out what you got going on at your table, and maybe push y'all's tables together without having to ask that question.
Maybe that's why he want to
If
ask
that
the
makes
question,
sense.
to make sure he could, make sure
Make sure he can add up, because
It's not.
it's like a measuring tool to me.
It's
And
not.
you may not see it though, because we're different though. You're a man, I'm a woman. I'm giving you a woman's perspective. It's never going to be like yours because it's coming from a woman. Yours is never going to be like mine because it's coming from a man. But you're asking, women are literally telling you, and it's just like you still keep your perspective on that. And I don't feel like it's healthy. We're going to talk outside of here. Because
Look,
I love these types of
what
conversations.
I'm gonna do is I actually recorded the conversation that I had with those women about
You
that
real
question.
sneaky.
No, that's
Okay.
No.
He set us up.
Yeah, he did.
No.
This is not a social experiment. He really conducted an experiment.
So I'm a
Just cut my
videographer.
check when you write your book.
I'm a videographer outside of this, and so like I was testing equipment, and so I was asking questions, and so the question just came to mind. So it was already a great conversation. I was just like, okay, let me ask this question, and when I provided context and perspective about what I was trying to achieve with that question, then it got an interesting result. Like, yeah, on the surface, yeah, it's an offensive question. If you just ask that shit off the break, it's like, yeah, like, well, who the fuck are you? What the fuck you mean? What I bring to the table? I am the table type shit. But it's just like sometimes the way you approach it, it could just be like, hey, like let's unpack what you're saying. Like let me understand what you mean by your responses. That's all I'm trying to say. And then just defining what the table looked like. You know, a lot of people think like, oh, like people have this perception of like, oh, yeah, it's nice of the round table. Like, I'm a boss, you're a boss. Whoa, are you a boss? And it's just like, yo, like, what the fuck? Whole time that table could represent so many things. Like, it could be anything. But I just think the way maybe it's because the way I'm articulating or just the way I'm coming out with it.
I
That's why.
understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah,
That's why
like,
there's nothing wrong with what you're saying. I'm just giving you a different perspective is all. You know, other tools to be able to get the answers that, because I feel like I'm really good at framing. I feel like I'm really good at framing questions to get a certain response. I can ask 2-part questions and still get everything I want in that. That's why people come to my page to like, I can ask questions. People be like, oh, let me join in and let me, give my perspective or whatever, give my response. I think I'm good at that. I think I have a talent for that. So all I'm telling you is frame it differently and you'll get a different response. But also keep in mind that it can be offensive to people with or without the context. It can be a trigger thing for some people. Still ask it, because if it's in a sense of like a social experiment, that's completely different. I didn't know you was recording these people doing it. You left that part out.
No,
But if it's like even if it was like an impromptu, spontaneous, social experiment, I love those, by the way. I didn't know that. So I'm not saying, again, I want to reiterate, I'm not saying that it's like a horrible question, but I'm just letting you know the perspective from a woman, how most women might take that, because we see it all the time online. When people are being honest when they say, I don't want a man asking me that, we're telling you that we don't like it. And there are a lot of women that feel that way because they're all on my page. So,
and then the response I done seen, I got one dude hop in my inbox. Oh, that's because you don't bring shit to the table. You ain't, because I didn't, like, damn, like, now I'm getting cussed out because I don't want to answer this. Why am I'm sitting here like, I have a man. Why am I telling you what I bring to the table? That makes no sense. So now he in my inbox cussing me out, telling me how I ain't shit and I don't bring shit and blah. I'm like, damn. So now,
even with that, like,
why am I being attacked?
I just think it's so interesting. Like, why did he feel the need to do that?
Like, do that all the time online.
Let me tell you, one guy told me. Let me tell you, I couldn't believe it. I think that day, my whole day was messed up. This day, some random guy told me. He said, "Shut up, bitch." He typed out, "Shut the f up." Oh, I'm so sorry. So you brought her to the adult room. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Now you got me looking like the bad guy.
It's like, what you doing? I want to hear this.
Yeah, he typed in "shut the f up, bitch," like on the thing, and I'm like, what? Because of this question. So you see what I mean? PTSD. Like, don't nobody want to. It's just
Yeah, it
like
goes back to what you
random
said
people that I
about-
don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. I mean, it goes back to what you said: anger, just not understanding, understanding women. You know, taking that feedback. That's why I think it's important to have women here to really understand their perspective, and we can either take it or leave it. What they have to say, but I think there was definitely some great dialogue. Appreciate everyone hanging with us. We're getting ready to wrap up here. Thanks for all those who stayed tuned in, engaged in the comments. Next week we'll be chatting with the fellas. Should be a great conversation. I'm sure the ladies are going to be out there with the Twitter fingers ready to go
Absolutely.
add their add their commentary in. So thanks so much, everyone, and please follow the podcast, Minority Minds Podcast, and Ashley, Lami, LaShawn, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you
Effie,
for having me.
Yes, thank
of
you for
course,
having me.
of course, and we will have you back. The week after the fellas, we're gonna have a group pod, and
hopefully we can get y'all for some on solo guest visits too.
yeah,
Of course.
yeah, we would. We love to chat with people and talk about these kind of topics. We do not endorse the views of Kevin Samuels.
Look at them still talking this shit. Look.
Look, I don't give a fuck. Look, until y'all dudes watch a full episode, you see how
we're not going to watch.
We've watched full episodes.
I've watched.
You would have got on that hill by yourself,
you
bro.
dudes. I watched the full episode.
I have to.
I'm not going to. I'm sorry.
Why?
Bruh, it doesn't fucking matter. I'm not listening to that bitch ass nigga.
Like, I don't like.
No, I'm not gonna give him a chance if I don't fucking agree with what the fuck he's saying.
But okay, all right. But you're okay. All right, whatever. All right.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining. Now people are gonna go listen to Kevin Samuels instead of Minority Minds.
Nah, I'm on attack, man. Fuck that shit. Oh, words, my bad.
And we out. Have a good night, y'all.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Oh, this live? Oh no, that's still
Get off of live, fam.
Hey, don't tell me what to do, bruh.
Punk ass up.
Hey, fight me, cuz. People still on this live too. Hey, lead us in too.